And we're going to have Paula come up and introduce our first speaker.
Hello, I'm Paula. I'm an addict. Our first speaker tonight is a fiery redhead. She looks with shock. I've had the privilege of knowing her a little over 3 years, and she was a transplant from Nevada, and now she's went back to Nevada and took her recovery with her, and she's here to share about it. I give you Julie.
Hi, I'm Jules, and I'm an addict. I thought Michelle was going first. Surprise again. Dear God, give me the words. I got nothing. Wow, I'm nervous. Our topic is open-mindedness. I always thought that I was really open-minded. Back in the day out there, I was pretty open-minded. I just had a blind faith that things were going to happen the way I thought they were, and they did. I handed my money out a window, and stuff came back. It always happened. Had a blind faith with open-mindedness. I really find it hard to talk about open-mindedness without talking about the other two on the other sides, honesty and willingness. To me, they all go together. In fact, it says in our basic text, a spirit of open-mindedness coupled with an admission of powerlessness is a key that will unlock the door to recovery. A wise man once told me that that's one of the keys that goes on our key tags. You got to keep looking to find the rest of them. Another quote from the book about open-mindedness is, to improve ourselves takes effort, and since there is in no way in the world to graft a new idea onto a closed mind, an opening must be made somehow. We have to remain open. When I got to these rooms, I was probably the farthest thing from open-minded that there could be. I didn't belong there. I wasn't like you guys. I was different. You guys just had, misconceptions about me, and actually the court in the state of Nevada, or state of Indiana, is actually who decided I needed to be in the rooms. My higher power. So what brought me there? Because all I knew was that I had to walk up those stairs into that big room. And I also know that there are 122 slats in the floor, because for the first 3 months that I was in there, that's all I did was count the floorboards. I looked at the floor. I did listen, but I just sat there and cried most of the time. Open-mindedness was not something that I understood, but I didn't realize that I was closed-minded either. You guys showed me that, and it took some time. It really took some time. I'm just really grateful, though, that you guys found that opening, caused that opening, cracked my head, whatever. Broke my heart is what you did. Broke my heart. Made it to where I was able to listen and hear those things that you were trying to tell me. How you guys were trying to save my life, even though I still didn't even want to save it myself. A lot of you that were in meetings with me back then probably heard me talk about how I had to get home, had to get back to my children that I had abandoned in my addiction. All I wanted to do was get home. That's what I talked about. And what I almost missed was the fact that I was home. Without you guys, this new NA family that I have, I wouldn't have the relationships that I do today with my children that are now 22 and 18. 22 tomorrow, sorry. I'm just really grateful to this program and to all of the principals that I try, and not with perfection. There is definitely no perfection in my program, but I do practice them. I practice them. And I learn from every one of you something every day, especially my sponsee, Michelle, who's going to share next. Michelle with 1 L. Wow. If I may, I have one more quote from the book that I wanted to give. Of course, I can't find it right now. Oh yeah, this is where I was going. Open-mindedness without willingness, however, will get us nowhere. We must be willing to do whatever is necessary to recover. Honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness work hand in hand. The lack of one of these principles in our spiritual program can lead to relapse, and will certainly make recovery difficult and painful when it could be simple. It took me a while to get any of that. I was not honest. I was not honest about who I was or why I was there, other than the fact that I didn't belong. That was what I honestly believed at the time. Just through getting to know you guys and hearing your stories, I started to hear those damn similarities, because I sure was finding the differences. I liked those differences, because then I didn't have to admit that I was an addict. I didn't want to be an addict. I still don't want to be an addict. I'm pissed off about it. But it is what I am, and I have to deal with that on a daily basis. Ask my higher power every day to just help me through one more day. And if I have to speak to someone asks me to be their sponsor, or someone asks me to speak, I'm like, God, what could I possibly have to say that's going to help anybody? I don't know what it is, but here I am. They asked me to do some service work, and here I am. Actually, my sponsee volunteered us for some service work, and here I am. I love her anyway, but she's getting an assignment. It's okay. I'm just really grateful. I'm going to keep coming back, and more will be revealed.
Hi, family. I'm an addict. My name's Michelle. I'll stand back here because I have a really loud voice. I volunteered us for to speak today about something, and now I find myself very intimidated. But I hope I can share something that will make sense and give somebody some hope or something. Open-mindedness. When the guy was telling us all the things that we had to share about, I was like, open-mindedness seemed to be something that I probably could have something to say about. When I was out there for 33 years thinking that life was just a party, I was very closed-minded. I was very cocky. I was very, you couldn't tell me anything. And if you did, I didn't want to hear it. But the gift of desperation that I got that brought me to these rooms, I find myself now very open, very willing, and like Jules was saying, can't really talk about open-mindedness without the willingness. And that desperation today that I know was a gift. I became very willing and very open to listen to the suggestions that I've heard in these rooms, the messages that I've heard in these rooms, and it interested me very much, and that's what keeps me getting up every day today and wanting to learn and grow and live another day clean. And I thrive on that today. We started saving like 2 months ago for this convention to come out here, and it's because of Narcotics Anonymous today, the last probably month, I've gotten to take several little trips. You know, I did a woman spiritual retreat, which was a real first for a first woman thing for me, and in Ventura, California for a weekend, and then now I'm here, and then when I get back, Las Vegas is we're having our very first regional convention in Las Vegas. So there's a lot going on, and I'm really excited, and it's because of this program that taught me how to get up in the morning and go to work and you know, save my money so I can do something with my life today, and that's what brought me here. You know, I had to become open about this higher power thing. For a long time when I first got here, you were my higher power. The people in the rooms were my higher power, and everybody was like a miracle, and I kept seeing the miracles every day, and the little spiritual awakenings that I had. And today, I'm very grateful to have a higher power that works in my life. And it's very apparent to me on a daily basis that he is working in my life. Jules is my sponsor. She was, you know, there's a couple things that I didn't do like what you suggested for me to do. Like when I got here, you know, I had to have a guy sponsor, and I did. And he would, you know, he was a very big influence in my life. And he took me through my steps the very first time. He encouraged me to reach out to other women. He encouraged me to go to those women meetings, which I still don't really like to do, but I do. You know, all those things I had to stay open to, because that's why I'm here today, and that's how I grow. Jules was my very first sponsor as a woman. I asked her to be my sponsor. Actually, she was the only one in my home group that had done the steps, and so I asked her to be my sponsor, and we started working together, and then so many other women asked her to be her sponsor, and I got a resentment because I wanted her all to myself, you know, and so, you know, I moved on, and then I went to pick another woman that has a quite a substantial amount of clean time, and she sponsors like half of Las Vegas, so I don't know how that worked, but what happened was that she was very busy, and like I'd have to make appointments and stuff, and I was like, well, I don't think this was a good choice. So I asked Jules I went back to Jules as my sponsor, and she's taught me a lot, and I know I teach her a lot because she probably wouldn't have volunteered to speak. And I know that I was supposed to speak first, and Paula introduced her first, so but you know, these things, you know, I know that I can come and I can share in the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous, and that because you're all addicts and I'm an addict, whether I think I'm making sense or not, somebody's going to understand what I have to say, and I don't have to feel judged, and that's what makes it such an awesome program. And you know, I'm just grateful today that I have an open mind, and I try and be an example for my 19-year-old son, who all through my addiction, I was always the weekend mom, and he was an inconvenience for me, and he wasn't part of my life. And today he's a big part of my life, and he's one of my biggest supporters. And it's because of this program I learned to have a relationship and how to be a mom. He gets on my ass, though. Sometimes I think I've taken him to too many meetings, because when I'm acting out, he's the first one to let me know about it. But anyway, I know I'm supposed to talk for 20 minutes, but you know, and my disease tells me right before we were coming here that I really wanted to go take a nap. You know, I got jet lag, and I'm like, I just really want to go take a nap, and can we talk tomorrow? And but you know, I'm remaining willing, and I'm trying to be open, and I'm really excited to be here. I've never been on this East Coast part of the world, and I was really nervous about coming here because all the tornadoes and the floods and all this stuff. You know, I'm from a beach girl, and like I was like for 2 weeks I was on that internet looking at the weather and stuff. I'm a little bummed because the sun hasn't come out much, but I was worried, you know, and Jules kept telling me, well, you know, it's just going to be unpredictable, so just be prepared for everything, anything or everything, right? So I had to remain open-minded to come and get on that plane, and I'm glad I'm here, and I've met some awesome people, and I hope to meet some more and get some numbers and stay in contact, and especially with the women. That's something that today I'm really trying hard to do, bond with more women. I'm a good friend to have, and I need more women in my life, and so I'm open to that too. So that's really all I got to really put out there and share right now. After I'm done right now, I was like ready. I had it signed up to speak for something else tomorrow, but I think they thought we were a little greedy and they took us off the thing, so that's okay. But anyway, so I'm grateful to be here. If you're new or fairly new, keep coming back. Keep that open-mindedness. Be willing. The people that were here before you, listen to what they suggest, because they know something maybe that you don't, and it's only out of love of what we give and what we share with you. And keep coming back. I'll keep coming back, and thanks for letting me share.
My name's Jimmy Lynette.
Hey, Jimmy.
Jules, Michelle, thank you.
You're welcome.
At this time, before we open the floor for sharing, please remember that you're being taped. If you do not wish to be taped, please let me know so we can turn the tape off. So at this time, we're going to open the floor for any comments, questions. Anyone need to share anything, feel free to come up and speak as the spirit flows.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Hi, I'm Crystal. I'm an addict. Oh boy, open-mindedness. When I first got here, I was just so fucking beaten down and broken. I'd have stood on my head if y'all said would have kept me clean. No doubt about it. People told me, keep coming back. That was the first thing that stuck in my head. First 5 months was, in and out, in and out, in and out. I definitely had 1 foot out the door and 1 foot in. And I remember the last time I used, I sat there that next morning and I said, you're either going to say fuck this shit and go back and sit on that damn couch and keep getting high just like you have for 11 years, same house, maybe different dope, but still getting high and doing absolutely nothing. Or you can actually give this shit a try and see what they say, what they're talking about. And I did. And that's what just stuck. Let's keep coming back, keep coming back. Well, eventually I'm listening and I'm hearing about the how of the program. Honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. I was closed-minded, a liar, and, well, apparently, though, somewhere I was willing because I did keep coming back. I might have been using, but I was still coming back. So open-mindedness, I heard somewhere along the lines, get a sponsor. So I got a sponsor. I was open to that. And then I was also open to working the steps, and somewhere along the line, change snuck up and kicked me in the ass. And so, open-mindedness really wasn't a problem. I just wanted something different so bad. I was tired of sitting on that couch and getting high. I was tired of feeling so damn dead inside and empty. And that's what I had felt for so long. The open-mindedness, I took the suggestions. Okay, the God box, I never took that one. But, when my sponsor said, you know, I suggest you do this, I did it. You know, I have never done something my sponsor suggested that really was like, you know, you fucked me. No, because that is not the purpose of a sponsor, you know. So, I mean, I took the suggestions, and they keep me clean. You know, still to this day, I take suggestions. Sometimes I'm like, God, do I really got to do that? But, you know, honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness have never steered me wrong, not ever, not one time. You know, yeah, I'll definitely keep coming back, you know. It's just a beautiful program. Beautiful, you know. I wouldn't have met so many people if I would have sat on that couch in that same room getting high, you know. Let's see, that'd be 4 or 5, that'd be 15, almost 16 years now. So, they say you can't graft a new idea onto a closed mind, and that is so fucking true. So, yeah. I'm gonna keep coming back. So thanks, that's all I got.
Thanks, Crystal.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jonathan. I'm an addict.
Hey, Jonathan.
And the subject is open-mindedness. I'd like to talk about the place where we go to be the most spiritual in our early recovery, and that's area. That's where open-mindedness comes in. Truly where open-mindedness comes in. I, coincidentally, you know, this is just kind of my story, but I grew up in a home group where I had like 6 months more than anybody else. And when we were, you know, reading the chair guide, and it says, anyone with a year or more clean time, please raise your hand to show the newcomers that the program does work. There was nobody raising their hand. You know, they were all waiting for me to hit 1 year so that I could raise my hand. Then when I hit the 1 year, I knew everything. I mean, there wasn't anything more for me to know. I could make decisions. They were all good decisions. They were all right. And by extension, by the laws of physics and logic, that meant that all your decisions were wrong. And so I was right and you were wrong. And I went to area. Not only did I insist on everybody doing what I wanted them to do, but I insisted that they wholeheartedly agreed with me. It had to be from the heart they had to agree with me that I was right and they were wrong. And that it went on for a long time. I still fall back on the idea that, you know, I certainly know something. And, but I have learned in this program and in this process that I have to stay open-minded. The minute I become closed-minded is the minute I stop learning. You know, I pray every single day for open-mindedness enough to learn something. And I need that because I cannot grow without learning something new. And I can't learn something new unless I'm open-minded. Yeah, I had what they call service-based recovery rather than recovery-based service work. And I know that now, but I went into service work very, very early. And it was a great experience for me, but I, you know, really feel sorry for all those people who had to put up with me in early recovery, because I was an ass. I mean, just to face it. I'm at the point now. Get somebody to agree with me there. I'm at a point now where I can sit back and let people make decisions, and you know what? They may be wrong. They really may. But I have to allow there's a whole part in the basic text that talks about I have a right to be right, but I also have to see that I have a right to be wrong, and that other people have a right to be wrong, and that other people have a right to be right. And I have to let them be wrong if they want to be wrong. And nothing is written in stone. Something passes an area, it can be changed. It's not the end of the world. It's not going to bring down heaven and earth. It's not the end of Western civilization as we know it today. And I certainly thought so. I certainly thought so. I'm at a point now where I go back to, and it was after I got to Region that I heard somebody say, yeah, but is this the most effective way to carry the message? And I realize that's the only question that matters. The only question that matters. When all is said and done, when all this jibber jabbering goes on, and we talk about whether to spend this $10 this way or that way, in the end, the question is this the best way to carry the message of recovery? Because that's what this is all about, is helping one more addict save their lives. And so now I ask myself that, and realize that a battle is not the best way to do that, that I have to stay open-minded. And it could be that I am wrong. It really could be. Yeah, I'm getting a little older. I can read something in black and white and swear that it says something other than what it says. I'll bet blood on it, and that's not what it says. And I'll say, did somebody sneak in there and change that book, the policy manual? Did they change it on me? No, I just read it wrong, or I read it and I was expecting to read something, and therefore that's what I thought it said, And so open-mindedness is very important to me, and as it's been said, it's honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. There's three of them, and they really all do go together. I have to be honest enough to admit the truth, open-minded enough to be teachable to new ideas, and willing enough to do the footwork. Otherwise, it just doesn't work. And like I said, I pray every day for all three of those. Thank you for listening.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Anyone else have a burning desire to come up and share something?
Hi, family. I'm Scott. I'm addict.
Hey, Scott.
Thinking about open-mindedness. When I was using, there was a building that was a lot like this. It was an open-air market that had gone out of business. And I went in there with a piece of cardboard, and there was pigeons all in the rafters, and they would crap all over the floor. And I'd put that cardboard over me, and I'd hide in there, and I could use and know that no one else would ever come in there. And then I could go to sleep and feel safe because nobody would go in there. Can you understand why I used to do that? That's open-mindedness. If you can understand why someone would do something like that, that's open-mindedness. In Detroit, there's a woman that left her baby in the park. And it's big in the news right now. And they're on a witch hunt for this woman. How could she do that? Why would she do that? She left her baby there and went and used. And we gotta lock her up. We gotta get her. And I'm watching it and I'm going, I understand why that happened. And yes, the baby needs to be protected, but this woman, she needs help too. And I can feel her pain because of open-mindedness. You see, and if people couldn't understand why I hid under cardboard from pigeon shit, I would have been out the doors. You know, if they didn't understand me, if they went on a witch hunt for the things that I did, I wouldn't have stuck around. You know, so that open-mindedness gave me faith. When people said, I understand now, where are we going from here? How are we going to help you get better? My faith grew. You know, and that's what we do for the newcomer. We just accept the horrific things that they did and say, no problem, how are we going to help you get better? And then they go, wow, this might help me, this can help. And then we watch them grow and take pride in that. You know, and that's how the program works. Open-mindedness is the key to unity and faith. You know, and I'm so grateful that that was given to me when I got here, and that I can give that today. You know, thanks for letting me share.
Thanks, Scott. Where you get that shirt, man?
Here, my name's Laura and I'm an addict.
Hi, Laura.
Well, really nervous because this is a crowd and I have a cold, so I can hear my voice. You know, anyways, you know, when I was thinking of open-mindedness, I think of a meeting I was at just recently where I said, you know, honesty, that was the first thing I learned, you know, of the how in this program. Because I came into the rooms and I was like, you know, I learned, I'm realizing how dishonest I was, you know. And so I'm like, okay, I gotta work on that because it's one of the three things, you know. And someone was saying, you know, the how starts right away, you know, but it's really, what was going on is that I was open, you know, that, you know, I had the gift of desperation, you know, and I was open to something different. You know, I needed something different, but I was open to whatever it was, you know. I wasn't sure about self-help groups. I heard about the other fellowship, you know, on TV and all this shit, you know. But, you know, it just it's a joke on TV, you know. It's like, you know, it really is, how it's portrayed. But, you know, so then I heard of NA and I was like, well, all right, you know, I'll try that because I didn't feel comfortable saying that I was an alcoholic, you know, at the time. So I was open, but I wasn't immediately willing. I remember the first meeting I was supposed to go to, I just hung out with my friend instead and lied to my parents. Yeah, I went to the meeting, it was all right or whatever, you know. And then the next time, you know, I actually went, you know, because they busted me at IOP, you know, they're like, okay, really? You know, because I was honest with them. You know, I was honest with them because I wanted something different. So I was open to, okay, I don't know what I'm doing here, so I'm just going to tell you everything that I'm doing, and then you figure it out, you know, and I'll go from there, or I'll try to take the suggestion. I ditched the first meeting, but, you know, eventually I got to a meeting, and it was, you know, it was incredible. So that was my willingness, you know, actually getting there, walking up those. I don't know how many steps there were, I didn't count them, but it was at Crown Point, you know, at this big church, and it seems like a lot of steps nowadays, and I don't think it's that many, it's probably like 30 only, but, you know, I don't know. But, you know, so I think of that, and how they really do work together, because, you know, I could be open-minded to staying in a, you know, in a factory and you know, and all that, you know, but as far as, you know, my program goes, I'm not going to do that, you know, so that I can use better, you know, because I'm open-minded to it. I know that's not what you're saying. I'm just saying, for instance, because that would be open-mindedness in a way that's not going to, you know, help me in my recovery, you know. I got to be open-minded to some, you know, something that's going to actually help me, you know, and then be willing to do that, and then be honest with, okay, what do I need or whatever. I don't know. So it's kind of just a cycle and how those three go together. So that's kind of confusing. But, I was thinking too, as someone else said, how open-mindedness gave me faith. Because I didn't want to be here. I wasn't really sure how a group of, junkies, not like myself, because I was unique, people totally unlike me, could help me. And, because I wasn't as bad or I wasn't as good or whatever it was, and, I wasn't open to that. But once I tried a suggestion, the first meeting, I resisted that. And once I got there, I was like, wow, these people have emotions. They'll actually talk to me. They want to hug me, They already gave me something, a little key tag, it just felt safe, and so I didn't get a sponsor right away. I didn't do 90 meetings in 90 days, maybe to spite them, I did 88 or whatever, It's like I needed to be different, but eventually when I got a sponsor, I'm like, okay, this is, I need to do everything that she told me. So she goes, okay, make a gratitude list. All right, I don't know why I'm pissed off, but yeah, and it helped, Okay, read this and then write about it, and it helped, and so sometimes I read the steps, like 8 and 9, and back in the day 4, and I go, oh, I don't want to do that, I don't want to do that, but I read like from the How book, It Works How and Why, and I realize why I would want to do that, and how it works, and taking the steps especially have really helped me in my life, and I guess I bring that up because I thought, well, okay, these meetings are cool, everyone's great, but even though it's a 12-step program, I'm gonna avoid those steps. That just seems like a little bit too much work. I really don't need to mess around with that. But when I got down to it and I realized I need to do what a sponsor tells me to do, like, why not? I want to be like her. I want to be like these people. I don't want to be miserable in my skin. I don't want to be a dope fiend without the dope, So I'm glad to be here. I know something was telling me to share, so hopefully that was good. Thanks for letting me share.
Thanks, Laura.
Good afternoon. I'm Sylvester, and I'm an addict.
Hey, Sylvester.
This is for me a new experience to actually have more than my sponsor and my sponsor's brother or 5 of us at one time to express myself about any one given subject. And I hope that you can follow along with me, because honesty for me is that cliche of to thy own self be true. And I must make it clear to myself that I am an addict. Now, if I tell someone else that, to be honest, I would possibly sugarcoat that. But when I tell myself the truth, and I know it's the truth from my heart, then I'm being honest. I didn't like my drug sugar-coated. I wanted it raw. And today, to be honest with myself, is a step that I know for a fact that allowed me to come into the rooms. To be so dependent on drugs in all shape forms, because one wanted me to go to the other, and from there to another, and from there to another. And I don't really know if I ever settled on one particular drug of choice. They were all my drug of choice. So I became honest with myself, first of all, to realize the fact that I was an addict. That was the most profound truth that I have ever learned. I have been told as a kid that you're just like your father. The older you get, you are just like your father. And my father was an alcoholic. We didn't call it that. He was just drank all the time. And I have been told all my life that you just like your dad. So I was actually living my father's lifestyle. E&J was my scope in the morning. And that would propel me to other drugs. That honesty that I found within myself and the help of my sponsor, and my sponsee's sponsor and sponsee's sponsor, and they hovered around me because they saw my desperation. And I'm a combat veteran, 28 years in the military, and I find myself, for my peace of mind, I become combative. I deal with things in a hostile manner. I'd rather fight than talk. I'd rather shoot than be peaceful. Because of my military training, that's all I know. And it has been a challenge, and it is today, that I take that energy and propel it in a positive manner. But when I find myself being open-minded, I tend to feel abused and misused. And I have felt that for years. And my reactions become combative. I have taken your blows long enough, and I will fight back. So that honesty and to be open-minded enough for my sponsor to tell me, you really need to sit down and write this out. And I'm saying, can I record it? I'm a terrible speller. You would need a thesaurus and several dictionaries to try to figure out what the hell I'm saying. But if I speak what I feel, then maybe if I record it, you can understand and see where I am. Because I have had to call my sponsor many a day when I'm walking the streets with my pistol to retaliate for anyone that crosses me for any reason. I've given this idea to stop smoking. And I went, maybe 3-4 days, and this little old man pulled out in front of me, and I got out of my truck, and I just rant and raved at this little old man, and he went right on down the street in his little old car like the hell I didn't exist. And I was angry because he did not stay around to feel the fury of him pulling in front of me. To me, that was rage that had been riding around with me for years. I had this nice little ADL Camino that I cherished, and I used to get paid, and it would go on GPS to the currency exchange, make a left, and then it would go up to the currency exchange and go up 2 blocks and go down by the dope house. And it was like, it wasn't my doing, the car was doing this shit. I didn't drive this car, I didn't do this, But to be honest and to be open-minded, my sponsor, they stayed on my case. They saw my desperation, and I was clean, I guess, for maybe 60, 90 days or so, and I still had the key to my friend's apartment where I could go and come and get high and not be disturbed, and that key took me right back to the streets. So I went to my sponsor's office, and he's at work and in this nice little office, and he had to close the door because I was crying so loud, and he gave me the box of Kleenex, and he said, now, okay, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? And from that day to this day, I have been clean with his help. And I incorporated some spiritual principles because Mama told me I had to go to church. Grandmama told me that I had to go to Sunday school. And as far away as I went from the church, my spiritual principles were still calling me to the church. Now, we find people just as addict-y, if there is such a word, about religion as we are about trying to overcome our addiction to drugs. You take the good, leave the bad. But I have to incorporate those spiritual principles when I get out of my box, because I know for a fact that I can live by myself in peace and not use. I've tried it. Other people call it depression. I say, I'm fine with me. Today, I'm not motivated to go seek drugs of any form. I don't tease myself with near beer or whatever that fake stuff is. You know, when we were in the military, it was 1.2 or beer or something, whatever they call it. And I don't tease myself because I know that that's the catalyst for me to go to my drug of choice, and that may be anything that's out there. I value this little old life of mine today for the simple reason that I knew that the road that I was on, I was doomed to crash. And I was in my little spot in the garage where all the doors were locked, and I practically OD'd, and I had the sense enough to ask my higher power not to let me die in this garage, locked in here by myself. And I don't know how long I stayed on the floor, but when I was able to get up and walk out, I was convinced that if I didn't stop using, I would die. To this day, I still feel that there's some drugs in that garage. I used to hide money in there. You know, after I cut off the little money for the house, I would stash money so I could ease in the garage and get it and not disturb the whole house. I used to pull my truck in there and get high. Well, today, I don't hide my money. I don't have any. And I didn't have any then, because there were a lot of things that went unpaid because of my addiction. I've got 2 sons, and the only thing that I've ever told them is don't be like me. My sons have seen me using, and they see me clean. And I get these conversations that my son will call, and he say, Dad, well, how do you do so and so and so and so, you know? And I just run it down to him just like it is when they would ask me about sex, and I would be just raw. And my wife would ask me, why do you tell them like that? Because that's the way it is. We can dress it up, clean it up, but when you get down to the facts and all of the facade is cleared away, it's to thy own self be true. Tell them the truth. I tell myself today that out of all the things that I've ever done in this program, and I know for a fact that there are a lot of things that I need to do that I don't do, but to thy own self be true. That's the honesty that I find that never fails me. Open-mindedness, I have to be, for the simple reason that my sponsor is not as old as I am, and he teaching me stuff about just how to live today. I have years clean time that's beyond 10, 15, somewhere in there. I don't even know because I gave my book away for my clean date, so I don't even know what it is, and I think I need to find out for sure. But the point is, from that honesty and the open-mindedness that my sponsor has instilled with me, I'm willing to tell the truth about what the benefits of this program have been. I find that the good things that I receive today is because of the fact that I don't use today. I went to Iraq, and it's ironic that you're in a combat situation where they are trying to kill you every day. And all of a sudden, the hair on my head started turning gray. And it was all on the right side. And women say men only use half of their brains anyway. So I'm getting all this gray hair on the right side of my head. And I'm wondering, is this the only side of my brain that I'm using is to survive and not flourish, not prosper? And I've asked my higher power, not just for a cart in a room, but I want a mansion. It's through this program that I am allowed to see what is possible in my life other than that little room that I would get high in. Today I've got 2 vehicles, and I don't say that to be boasting, but as I become older, I find that things that I like fast old cars. Well, I bought a fast car. The convenience of a pickup truck with 4 doors on it, I thought it was the greatest invention since God made heaven, is to have a truck with 4 doors on it. So I got a truck. And now I'm allowed to throw all my fishing gear and my buddies, and we can go to a meeting, and we all in one. And it's just through the benefits of this program that I can possibly see beyond that garage where I possibly almost OD'd. Today, NA to me, and I incorporate a lot of my spiritual principles in it because sometimes my spiritual principles allow me to be within the box where I don't actually retaliate to other people's shortcomings and even my own. I say to myself today, if it had not been for NA, where would I be? Thank you.
Well, go ahead. Hey, my name is Carmen, and I'm an addict.
Hi, Carmen.
Honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. They say pretty much that I got the honesty part down, cause I'm not holding anything up. If you heard me share last night, I don't want to be here at all. I want to be high. I am struggling real hard, and I have 48 in a day. Keep going. And I was sitting here listening, and I had a talk. I'm not scared of that. I'm not scared of dying. See, this is the problem. I accepted the consequences of my using as part of what it took to get high and stay high. The consequences of my using are not my reasons. I don't have me losing my kids. The consequences of me getting high is not my motivation. I don't have a motivation to stay clean. I have a higher power that brought me to Camp Mac. I don't want to be clean right now. I liked getting high. I had fun getting high. That was my best friend, my lover, my kicking it buddy, my food, my shelter, it didn't matter. My crack was my everything. I smoked crack for 27 years. And I miss it. I grieve every day because I cannot get high. And then I say I cannot get high. So, it's kind of my twisted thinking. But I'm an addict, so work with me here. I miss it. I loved it. I want it. For some strange, odd reason, because of y'all, I'm seeing that there is something better. Look at what the NA program has showed me. Y'all have fun. Y'all walk around hugging each other. Y'all walk around with smiles on y'all faces. Y'all got 2 cars. Y'all got houses. You got your kids back. So there's something here that has to be better than sitting in them 4 walls. There has to be something here that is better than sitting in them 4 walls. What it is, how I get it, okay, the steps. All right, we got to do the steps, right? 1, 2, and 3 is our foundation, right? You can't do anything without step 1, 2, and 3. I don't want to do the steps. I just want to stay clean. It's taken a long. My higher power is screwing with my mind, because when my higher power brought me here, well, I had OD'd and went into the hospital for 2 weeks. I went through my withdrawals in the hospital, and I came out, and my sponsor swooped me up and took me into her home. Out of respect, I have not been getting high. That's how much respect I have for this woman that came and got me out the hospital and brought me into her house. That's it. You talk about spiritual principles. It's common sense to me. Common sense tells you not to steal. Common sense tells you, open the door for the old lady that's walking into the store. Common sense tells you to say good morning to a person that you're walking down the street. I mean, I don't know what a spiritual principle is beyond that. I'm an addict. My common sense is fucked up. But there's something, I don't know what it is about y'all. There's something about y'all that I want. I want it so bad, but I want to be high at the same time. I want both. I want it. I want my cake and I want to eat it too. The consequences, that's what I'm saying, that don't bother me. There has to be something wrong. There has to be something here that has consequences. I don't know what they are, but y'all are too together. You're too much of, I haven't gone through the chaos and the drama of a home group or meetings or the soap operas that go along in NA. I don't pay attention to that shit because I'm still trying to figure out why y'all come to a meeting, sit down and share, and at the end of your sharing, you're cool. At the end of what you say at a meeting, and you're cool you walk out of that meeting with a smile like you didn't walk in there with nothing that you just shared at the table. I don't know how y'all let go of that. I'm teachable today. I want to understand, I want to know, I want to learn how to live clean. I have no clue how to live in y'all world. I have no clue how to live in your world.
Come on, stop and think about that and say that one more time.
I have no clue how to live in your world. And I've been doing it for 48 days. And that would be my open-mindedness and my willingness and my honesty to I don't know nothing, y'all. I got a lot to learn. And I'm gonna keep coming.
I'm an addict. My name's Bruce W.
Hey, Bruce W.
To the lady just got through sharing, you know what? You need to pat yourself on the back. It's people that come in here and stay 3 days and don't like it and go back out. But then we have to realize it's the stuff we tell ourselves. I heard you say something real positive up there. You said, my sponsor came and got me and let me stay in her house. Pat yourself in the back. You didn't, when she went somewhere, you didn't steal her TV, you didn't take the VCR, you didn't take the silverware, you didn't go nowhere to go use. So something is working. Datali used to say, NA is something that we can't figure out. You ain't supposed to figure it out. Because if I can understand everything that happened in NA, then I can understand why a person can come in here and go back out and use and keep coming in and out. I can't understand that because I'm not to understand that. I can understand one thing, why I stay here. Why I stay here, we all got high. Everybody in this room got high at one time. And the only reason we went back and got high again was to feel like we did the first damn time. Only to wind up in Narcotics Anonymous and find out you've been high for 48 days, spiritually. That high out there takes you up. It takes you up and slam your ass down on the ground, and we get back up and do it all over again. Up here, we get high, and we come back down gently on the feet. We come into meetings, and we share what's bothering us, but we don't go pick that kind of high up. We get high over here spiritually. In God's time, it says, in the full fruits of labor lives in the harvest and comes in his right season. In his right season, why God got you here? Because you're going to help somebody else. When you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years clean, somebody going to come behind you and you're going to share your experience, your strength, and your hope to help them stay here just like you did. With that, I pass.
Thank you, Bruce.
Thanks, Bruce. Wow. Thanks, everyone, for coming up here and sharing today. Really good. That's all the time we have.